What if everything you've been chasing, success, happiness, fulfillment, was never something to find, but something to realize? What if the secret to a meaningful life wasn't hidden in some distant future, but right here, in this very moment? Life moves fast. We spend our days planning, regretting, worrying, always looking forward or backward, but rarely pausing to ask what truly matters. Imagine for a moment standing at the peak of your journey, looking back on the decades you've lived. What would you wish you had understood sooner? What wisdom would you want to pass down? Those who have walked this earth for decades carry stories rich with triumphs, losses, laughter, and lessons learned in the quiet moments between chaos. Their insights are not just reflections, but guiding lights, illuminating the path for those still navigating the winding roads of existence. And at the heart of it all, Buddhist philosophy reminds us, true wisdom is not about having more, doing more, or being more. It is about seeing clearly, living fully, and embracing life as it is. So let's embark on this journey together. Let's step away from the noise and explore the timeless lessons of those who have lived before us. Let's uncover the truths that have stood the test of time, the wisdom that can help us not just to exist, but to truly live. Because, in the end, life is not measured by what we have accumulated, but by how deeply we have understood it. Lesson 1. The art of acceptance. Letting go of what was. Accept what is, let go of what was, and have faith in what will be. Life is impermanent. Everything changes. Our bodies, our circumstances, our relationships, and even our deepest beliefs. In Buddhism, impermanence, anicca, is a fundamental truth. We suffer when we resist change, holding on to what has already passed or worrying about what is yet to come. But what does it truly mean to accept change? How do we let go of what was, especially when it has shaped us in ways we can't even begin to untangle? A Zen master once told a student struggling with heartbreak, "If you carry a burning coal in your hands, who gets burned?" The student hesitated, then realized, clinging to the past only harms the one who refuses to release it. But letting go is not as simple as opening our hands. The coal leaves a scar, and even when we drop it, the pain lingers. Healing takes time, and so does acceptance. There is a story of an old Japanese swordsman who in his youth was a fierce warrior. He spent decades honing his skills, fighting battles, and perfecting his technique. But one day, he lost, defeated by an opponent, younger and faster than he was. His hands, once steady and precise, had grown slower. The realization crushed him. He wandered the mountains, unable to come to terms with the loss of his former self. He sought out a Zen master and asked, "How do I accept that I am no longer the warrior I once was?" The master handed him a cup and began pouring tea. He poured and poured until the tea overflowed, spilling onto the floor. The swordsman flinched. "Why do you keep pouring?" he asked. The master smiled. "Why do you keep clinging? You are like this cup, filled to the brim with what was, leaving no space for what is." Acceptance is not about giving up or pretending the past didn't happen. It is about making space for the present. It is about recognizing that just because something was once beautiful, meaningful, or important, does not mean it must remain so forever. The tree does not resist the autumn wind when its leaves fall. The river does not hold on to its water as it flows into the ocean. Nature teaches us that letting go is part of the cycle of existence. Yet, humans struggle with this lesson the most. We mourn lost love, missed opportunities, and roads not taken, as if keeping them in our minds will somehow rewrite the past. But the past is already written, and no amount of wishing will change a single word. What we can do, however, is decide how we move forward. Imagine you are carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents a regret, a grudge, or a longing for something that no longer exists. The weight slows you down, makes each step harder than it needs to be. One day you meet a traveler who asks, "Why do you carry these stones?" You look down, realizing that you don't have an answer. That is the moment of awakening. That is the moment you begin to release the unnecessary burdens you've carried for far too long. Acceptance is an active choice, not a passive surrender. It takes courage to say, "I will no longer let this pain define me." It takes strength to stop revisiting old wounds and reliving past hurts. The Buddha once said, "You only lose what you cling to." What would happen if we let go of the idea that we must always be the same, that we must always hold on to the past versions of ourselves? There is freedom in releasing the grip of yesterday. When we accept that life is transient, we free ourselves from suffering. Every moment becomes an opportunity to live fully, rather than being trapped in the shadows of yesterday. The weight lifts, the path clears, and we find that the future is not something to fear, but something to embrace. Lesson 2. The power of patience. Strength in stillness. Two things define you: your patience when you have nothing, and your attitude when you have everything. Patience is not just waiting, it is enduring with grace. In Buddhism, the virtue of patience, khanti, teaches us to remain steady amid life's storms. When we rush, we fail to see clearly. When we resist, we create tension. But when we cultivate patience, we become like the mighty river that carves through mountains, not through force but persistence. A monk once sat by a riverbank, watching a caterpillar struggle to break free from its cocoon. A young boy, impatient to help, tore the cocoon open. The butterfly emerged, but its wings were weak, unformed. It never learned to fly. The lesson: growth requires time. Challenges shape us, and rushing the process only weakens our ability to soar. Patience is often tested in ways we least expect. Consider the story of an aging farmer who spent his entire life growing rice. One year the rains refused to come. Day after day, he walked to the edge of his fields, staring at the cracked earth, hoping for a miracle. His neighbors mocked him. "Why do you wait?" they asked. "Your patience will not bring the rain." But the farmer simply smiled and replied, "The rain will come when it is time. If I despair, will it come any sooner? If I abandon my fields, will they be ready when it does?" Months later, the rains finally arrived, and while others had given up, his fields were prepared to receive the water. His patience had not just endured the drought, it had ensured his survival. Patience is not passive. It is not simply sitting still and hoping for the best. It is an active force, a quiet strength. Imagine a sculptor chipping away at a block of marble. The masterpiece does not reveal itself immediately. It takes time, patience, and countless careful strikes of the chisel. If the sculptor were to rush, the form would be ruined. True patience is knowing when to act and when to wait. It is the art of trusting the process. In today's world where instant gratification has become the norm, patience is a rare virtue. We expect results overnight, responses in seconds, and success without struggle. But nature itself teaches us otherwise. A tree does not grow tall in a day. A river does not carve a canyon in a week. Wisdom is not attained in a single moment of enlightenment, but through years of reflection and learning. Consider the story of a young apprentice who sought wisdom from a revered Buddhist master. "Master," he asked, "how long will it take for me to achieve enlightenment?" The master replied, 10 years. The apprentice, eager to learn quickly, said, "But what if I work twice as hard? What if I dedicate every moment to learning and practicing?" The master smiled and said, "Then it will take 20 years." The lesson: impatience blinds us to the natural rhythm of growth. The harder we push against time, the more elusive our goals become. The greatest transformations happen when we surrender to the flow of life. Another powerful example of patience is found in the practice of meditation. Sitting still, observing the breath, and letting thoughts come and go. These are not easy tasks in a restless mind. Beginners often find themselves frustrated. Why can't I quiet my thoughts? They wonder. But patience is key. Like ripples in a pond, the mind needs time to settle. With practice, the restlessness fades and stillness takes its place. The reward is a clarity that cannot be rushed. In our relationships, patience can be the difference between conflict and understanding. A harsh word spoken in anger can wound deeply, but a moment of patience before speaking allows wisdom to intervene. A child struggling to learn, an elderly parent moving slowly, a friend who needs time to heal. These moments test our ability to wait, to hold space, to offer compassion. In these moments, patience becomes an act of love. Even in suffering, patience is our refuge. The Buddha taught that all pain is temporary, like a storm passing through the sky. If we resist it, we only increase our suffering. But if we accept it, endure it with grace, and allow it to move through us, we emerge stronger on the other side. The lotus blooms in muddy waters, not by fighting the mud, but by rising through it with quiet resilience. So how do we cultivate patience in our own lives? Start small. The next time you are stuck in traffic, instead of honking or grumbling, take a deep breath and remind yourself that impatience will not clear the road any faster. The next time you face a setback, instead of frustration, ask yourself, what is this moment teaching me? Keep a journal, reflect on your challenges, and notice how patience transforms your perspective over time. Ultimately, patience is the foundation of wisdom. It teaches us to trust, to endure, and to recognize that every moment, even the difficult ones, has a purpose. The river carves through the stone, not in haste, but in steady, unwavering persistence. The butterfly emerges when it is ready, and so will we. Patience is not just waiting, it is a quiet strength, a deep wisdom, a testament to our ability to endure without losing hope. It is the bridge between where we are and where we are meant to be. It is in its purest form, the strength in stillness. Lesson 3. The wisdom of non-attachment. Finding peace within. Control your thoughts, or your thoughts will control you. Non-attachment, upekkha, does not mean we do not love, but rather that we love freely, without grasping. Imagine holding a butterfly. If you squeeze too tightly, you crush it. If you let it go, it may return to you willingly. Love, joy, success. These things are meant to be experienced, not possessed. The tighter we hold on, the more they slip through our fingers like grains of sand. A man once asked the Buddha, "Master, how can I find peace?" The Buddha handed him a glass of water. The man drank it and said, "This is refreshing, but how does it bring peace?" The Buddha then took the glass and crushed it in his hands. If you hold on to something too tightly, fearing its loss, you destroy the joy it once brought. Learn to appreciate, but do not cling. Non-attachment is not indifference, it is balance. It is walking the fine line between caring deeply and being consumed by that care. It is loving without possession, striving without obsession, and experiencing without resistance. Imagine a river flowing. The water moves effortlessly, embracing each rock and curve of the land without hesitation. It does not resist, nor does it grasp at what has passed. It simply moves forward. Life, too, must be lived in this way. Clinging to the past is like trying to hold onto a wave. It will only dissolve between your fingers. There is a story of a wise monk who lived in the mountains. A young traveler, burdened with worries, sought him out and asked, "Master, I have lost everything. My wealth, my family, my home. How do I go on?" The monk picked up a handful of dry leaves and let them fall from his fingers. "Do you grieve for these leaves?" he asked. "No, master," the traveler replied. "They were bound to fall." The monk smiled. "So too are the things we lose in life. If we cling to them, we suffer. But if we understand that all things are temporary, we are free." Non-attachment also means releasing our need for control. So often, we believe that if we hold on tightly enough to people, outcomes, even ideas, we can shape them to our will. But control is an illusion. A mother may try to shield her child from every hardship, but eventually, the child must face the world. A businessman may try to prevent failure at all costs, but failure is often the doorway to wisdom. Consider a fisherman who spends his days by the ocean. If he grips his fishing net too tightly, desperate to catch every fish, he will tear the net and lose everything. But if he casts it with patience, allowing the sea to give what it will, he finds abundance. Life works in much the same way. Even in relationships, non-attachment is key. Love should be like the sun, giving warmth freely, without demanding anything in return. Many suffer because they mistake attachment for love. They try to possess another person, to mold them into their idea of happiness. But true love is not possession. It is appreciation without expectation. It is allowing another to be fully themselves, to come and go as the seasons do, knowing that what is meant to stay will stay. There is an old Japanese saying, "If you chase the butterfly, it will fly away. But if you sit still, it may land on your shoulder." This is the essence of non-attachment. The things we chase often elude us, but when we let go, life unfolds naturally. Even our identities are not meant to be clung to. We change, grow, evolve. The person you were 10 years ago is not who you are today. Holding on to old versions of ourselves, old beliefs, or old wounds only keeps us from becoming who we are meant to be. A snake sheds its skin. A tree lets go of its leaves. The ocean releases the tide. Nature does not resist change. Why should we? Non-attachment does not mean we should not have goals or desires. It simply means that we should not let our happiness depend on their fulfillment. A sculptor does not cry over the stone he chips away. He knows that only by letting go of the excess can he reveal the masterpiece within. Likewise, in life, it is often by releasing what no longer serves us that we find true freedom. So how do we practice non-attachment in our daily lives? Start by observing your thoughts. When you find yourself clinging to a memory, an outcome, a person, ask yourself, am I holding on to this because it serves me, or because I am afraid of losing it? Shift your focus from attachment to appreciation. Enjoy each moment fully, but do not try to make it last forever. In meditation, we practice letting thoughts come and go, like clouds passing through the sky. This is non-attachment in its purest form, acknowledging, experiencing, and releasing. The more we practice this in stillness, the more naturally it comes in daily life. At its core, non-attachment is freedom. It is the realization that happiness does not come from holding on to life, but from flowing with it. It is trusting that whatever comes, we will be okay. It is knowing that peace is not something we attain. It is something we allow. Let go, the Buddha said, and see what remains. Lesson 4. The strength in letting go. Moving forward without regret. You can't reach what's in front of you until you let go of what's behind you. We often carry burdens long after they have served their purpose. Pain, resentment, regret. They linger in our minds, weighing us down like heavy stones in a traveler's pack. Yet the past is only a teacher, not a prison. When we hold on too tightly, we become trapped in what was, unable to embrace what could be. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, but a profound act of courage. A famous Buddhist story tells of two monks who came across a woman needing to cross a river. The older monk carried her across, set her down, and continued walking. Hours later, the younger monk, visibly distressed, asked, "Why did you carry her? We are not supposed to touch women." The older monk smiled and said, "I put her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This story serves as a powerful metaphor for our own lives. How many things are we still carrying? Grudges, regrets, past mistakes. We replay old conversations, dwell on decisions we wish we had made differently, and relive moments that no longer serve us. But in doing so, we are not punishing the past, we are punishing ourselves. There was once a man who lost his fortune in a fire. Everything he had worked for was reduced to ashes in a single night. Devastated, he wandered the streets in despair. A wise teacher saw his suffering and asked, "If you dropped a valuable coin in a well, would you jump in after it knowing you would drown?" The man shook his head. "No, of course not." The teacher smiled. "Then why do you let your mind drown in things you can never retrieve?" Letting go is not just about releasing pain, it is about making space for something new. Imagine holding a glass filled with dirty water. If you never pour it out, how can you make room for something pure? We must be willing to empty our hands so that we can receive life's next gift. There is strength in choosing to move forward. Many people fear that letting go means forgetting, but that is not the case. We do not erase our past, we simply refuse to let it dictate our future. The past is a chapter, but it is not the whole book. Consider a bird preparing to take flight. If it clings too tightly to the branch, fearing the uncertainty of the sky, it will never know the joy of soaring. Likewise, if we resist change, if we refuse to step away from what no longer serves us, we remain stuck, never realizing our true potential. A woman once carried a deep resentment toward her sister over a family dispute. For years they did not speak. Every holiday, every birthday, every gathering was marked by silence and tension. One day she heard that her sister had fallen ill. In that moment she realized that the anger she had carried for so long had only stolen her own peace. She decided to visit her sister, and as soon as she walked through the hospital doors, the resentment she had nursed for years dissolved. It had never been about her sister, it had been about her own unwillingness to let go. They reconciled, and she understood that life is too short to hold on to pain. Letting go is an act of self-liberation. It does not mean we condone what hurt us, nor does it mean we ignore the lessons learned. It simply means we refuse to let pain define us. A clenched fist cannot receive, but an open hand can hold the world. So how do we begin? Start small. When a negative thought arises, acknowledge it, but do not invite it to stay. When memories of past pain surface, remind yourself that they are echoes, not chains. Meditate on the impermanence of all things, the joys, the sorrows, the successes, the failures. Everything comes and goes. The only thing we can control is how we choose to respond. There is a Zen saying, "Let go or be dragged." Life will keep moving whether we resist or not. The choice is ours. Do we fight the current, exhausting ourselves in the process, or do we allow it to carry us forward? Letting go does not happen overnight. It is a practice, a discipline, a choice we must make every single day. But with each step forward, the weight lessens and the path becomes clearer. In the end, we do not lose ourselves by letting go. We find ourselves in the space that remains. The past is already written, and the ink has dried. The only question left is this: are you ready to turn the page? Lesson 5. The importance of mindfulness. The only moment that matters is now. The best view comes after the hardest climb. Mindfulness teaches us that peace is not found in the past or future, but in the now. We spend so much of our lives lost in regrets over what has been or anxieties over what is yet to come, failing to recognize that the only moment we ever truly possess is the present one. The Buddha once compared life to an archer aiming at a target. If the archer's mind wavers, thinking about past shots or future ones, his arrow will miss. But if he is fully present, he will hit his mark. Yet how often do we truly live in the moment? We eat while scrolling through our phones, barely tasting our food. We listen to a loved one speak, but are preoccupied with our own thoughts, half hearing their words. We wake up each morning already thinking about tomorrow, missing the beauty of the day unfolding before us. Mindfulness is the art of reclaiming the present, of being here, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. There is a story of a man who visited a Zen master seeking wisdom. "Master," he said, "I feel lost. My mind is always running ahead of me, worrying, planning, and analyzing. How do I find peace?" The master handed him a cup of tea. "Drink this," he said. The man took the cup, but continued speaking about his worries. The master interrupted him. "Drink your tea." The man paused, confused, but took a sip. "How does this help?" he asked. The master smiled. "When you drink tea, just drink tea. When you walk, just walk. When you listen, just listen. Do each thing fully, and peace will follow." Mindfulness is about immersing ourselves in each action, each sensation, each breath. Try this. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Feel the air filling your lungs. For this moment, nothing else exists. This is mindfulness. This is life. Imagine a tightrope walker suspended high above the ground. If his focus shifts for even a second to thoughts of falling, to memories of past missteps, he will lose his balance. His survival depends on his ability to remain fully present, to trust each step as it comes. In many ways, our lives are no different. We walk a tightrope every day, balancing responsibilities, emotions, expectations. The only way to move forward with grace is to be fully engaged in the step we are taking now. Consider the story of a woman who spent years worrying about her future. She worked tirelessly, planning for every contingency, ensuring financial security, mapping out the next 10 years. But in her relentless pursuit of the future, she overlooked the present, her child's laughter, the warmth of the sun on her skin, the quiet joys of an ordinary day. One afternoon, she was diagnosed with a serious illness. Suddenly, her plans meant nothing. The future she had sacrificed so much for was uncertain. In that moment, she understood life is not lived in some distant someday. It is lived in the now. With newfound awareness, she began to savor each moment, cherishing the small details she had once ignored. She found more joy in a single afternoon of mindfulness than in years of chasing an elusive future. Mindfulness also teaches us to embrace imperfection. A Japanese tradition called wabi-sabi finds beauty in the imperfect, the transient, the incomplete. A cracked bowl, mended with gold, becomes more valuable because of its flaws. So too does life. When we stop striving for perfection, for an unattainable ideal, we begin to appreciate things as they are. A rainy afternoon is not an inconvenience. It is an opportunity to listen to the rhythm of raindrops against the window. A mistake is not a failure. It is a lesson in disguise. Each moment, in all its raw, unfiltered reality, holds something precious. Meditation is one of the most powerful ways to cultivate mindfulness. It is not about emptying the mind, but about returning, again and again, to the present moment. Thoughts will come, distractions will arise, but each time we gently bring our attention back, like a boat returning to shore. Over time, this practice extends beyond meditation, weaving itself into our daily lives. We become more patient, more present, more attuned to the rhythm of life. Mindfulness is also about gratitude. When we are truly present, we notice things we once overlooked. The way the morning light filters through the trees, the comforting weight of a book in our hands, the kindness in a stranger's smile. We begin to realize that joy is not found in grand achievements, but in the simple, fleeting moments that make up a day. And when we learn to appreciate what we have now, we stop longing for what we lack. A monk once told his student, "Do not chase happiness. It is like trying to catch the wind. Instead, be still and let it come to you." Mindfulness is that stillness. It is the ability to sit with what is, without needing to change or control it. It is learning to let life unfold at its own pace, trusting that each moment is enough. So how can we bring mindfulness into our lives? Start small. When eating, focus on the texture, the taste, the aroma of your food. When walking, feel the ground beneath your feet. When speaking, truly listen. Breathe deeply. Slow down. Be here, now. In the end, the past is but a memory, and the future is only a possibility. The only thing that is real, the only thing that is truly ours, is this moment. Let us not waste it. Let us live fully, deeply, mindfully. The best view, after all, comes after the hardest climb, but only if we are present to see it. Conclusion: living with purpose, leaving with peace. As we journey through life, let us walk with wisdom, patience, and love. Each step we take is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to embrace the beauty of simply being alive. We often search for purpose in distant dreams, in achievements, in things we can grasp. But in the end, purpose is not found in reaching a final destination. It is in how we choose to travel, in how present we are for each breath, each interaction, each fleeting yet precious moment. So as you move forward, remember these simple yet profound truths. Accept what is. Life is ever changing. Trying to resist it only creates suffering. Flow with it, and you will find peace. Let go of what was. The past is a teacher, not a prison. Do not carry yesterday into today. Release what no longer serves you. Have faith in what will be. The future is uncertain, but that is what makes it full of possibility. Trust that you are strong enough to face whatever comes next. At times, life will test you. It will ask you to surrender, to be patient, to endure. And in those moments, remember, peace is not found in controlling every outcome, but in surrendering to the flow of existence. True freedom lies in embracing life exactly as it unfolds. Take a moment right now. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel the weight of your worries lift, even if just for this instant. This is mindfulness. This is the peace you seek. It has been within you all along. As you step back into your life beyond this moment, carry this wisdom with you. Let it guide you in how you speak, how you love, how you face each day. Live with intention, live with presence, live with gratitude. And if this message has resonated with you, if it has stirred something within your heart, share it, reflect on it, and most importantly, live it. If you found value in this journey, subscribe to our channel for more insights on mindful living, on wisdom that transcends time, on lessons that bring clarity to the human experience. Join us in this path of quiet wisdom, of deep reflection, of living fully and letting go gracefully. Because in the end, life is not measured by what we have gathered, but by the depth to which we have understood and embraced it. May your journey be filled with peace, purpose, and quiet wisdom.